It is Tuesday, December 19th, and we are so close to Christmas now. I'm still home alone on bereavement leave, which feels weird and possibly unnecessary. However, we just found out that the friend that we spent the whole weekend with in New York City, who started coming down with a cold on Sunday morning, tested positive for COVID yesterday. So we were exposed over the weekend. So now my anxiety is sky high, thinking that I might get COVID and then not be able to go home for Christmas and not be able to see my family immediately after losing my grandmother. And I am starting to freak out. So I'm trying to keep busy to avoid thinking about it. And I'm also trying to jinx it in every way possible. And I'm like slamming pineapple juice for vitamin C. And I took some Zicam yesterday, even though I don't think that does anything for COVID, but I was thinking it was going to be a cold that I was preventing. And now I'm like drinking Powerade. I stocked up on all the things you need when you're sick, because I figured like if I buy everything I need when I'm sick, I just won't get sick, and then I'll have bought it for nothing. And I like unpacked our bags and put all of our bags away in the back of the closet. Like, well, I'm gonna be sick, I won't need them next weekend, hoping that I won't get sick, and then it'll be a pain in the butt to take them out next weekend. I don't know. I'm really freaking out, thinking that I might miss Christmas for the first time in my life right after the loss of a loved one, and I don't like it. So let's do craft things and not think about that today. My objectives for the day are definitely to edit the previous video, which you haven't even seen yet because it hasn't even hit Premiere Pro yet, and then maybe to start the finishing work on the temperature blanket, which honestly for the first day is probably just going to be weaving in ends, because I feel like there's a lot of ends sticking out, even though there's not as many as you'd think, because I didn't cut the yarn at the end of every row. I did carry it up the side. Let's do our advents, and then I can work on the Cambridge jacket this morning while I get started on video editing. Yay. It's so much better to see them all together like this. Okay, so pretty. I can't stop squishing them. They feel so soft, and I can't wait to use them. Actually, maybe later today, to cheer myself up, I will take out some of the whole skeins of Yarnaceous fingering weight that I have upstairs to compare, to see if maybe they would be good candidates to make the Sweet Shop blanket. We'll see what happens. Oh, I gotta do this one. What am I doing? 7? Is it day 7 for this one? I think. I think it's a magnet or a button or something. It's a little metal pin that says Dino Hugs. So Olive, I thought you were vlogging with me. Olive, you're not participating? Okay. So I've done a lot of knitting today. I did. What did I even do? Let's start from the top. I edited the whole video, which was quicker than I had expected, which I'm grateful for, because I was nervous. I finished editing that mid-afternoon, and I got that uploaded and everything. So I've just been watching Vlogmases since. Very much enjoying my quiet time. I've gotten quite far on this. I moved the progress keeper. Oh god, I can't one-hand this. So that's where I started today. and I have done the armhole shaping. So there's like, the back is stockinette, but then at the top of the back around the shoulders, it turns into ribbing also. So that's where we are. So I have like another inch or so to do before I start. Like, I think there's shoulder shaping and or neck shaping. There's so much shaping on this, I don't remember. And I had actually forgotten earlier too that when I did the other panel last time, I had messed up and didn't realize until I got to the armhole shaping, and I was like, well, I'm not ripping back that whole panel because it takes a long time, and this ribbing is a pain in the tuchus, because if I didn't mention already, it's 3x2 ribbing, which is the ribbing from hell. I don't like 3x2 ribbing. I don't like uneven numbered ribbing because the muscle memory in my fingers can't handle going from 3 knits and 2 purls to 3 purls and 2 knits. I always screw it up, and I find that I'm constantly backing up to undo that third stitch because I did it the wrong way, like every time. It looks nice enough on the finished product. I'm not mad at that, but the process is hard. So anyway, when I did the panel a month ago or whatever it was, I didn't notice until I got to the armhole shaping that I had cast on the number of stitches for the next size up. But then I just kind of like changed the numbers a little bit and bound off a couple extra in different spots to get back to the number that I should have had. So, I mean, I don't think it'll make that much of a difference. Like we talked about, there's a lot of ribbing on this jacket, and it's very forgiving, and I think it's basically going to collapse on itself and you won't really see, but I did want to make it symmetrical. So I had to try to revisit my own poorly taken notes and duplicate that, but I've done that now. And now I can just follow the pattern for the rest of it. But my arms are getting tired of this particular project today, and I don't feel like doing it anymore, even though it is only 5:30. So I don't really have to put this away for another hour and a half or so in order to hide it from Josh, but I do need to put it away because I'm sick of it right now. So I'm gonna get the hot water bottle cover out again and kind of enjoy that while I watch a few more Vlogmases. And then I plan on actually making dinner today, because even though I would really, really, really like to order some Indian food and not have to worry about it, that's too irresponsible, and we ate out literally all weekend. So I just have plans for another little lazy dinner. Whatever. That's what cozy days are for, right? Right, Olive? She's out. So I still don't have any symptoms, although I know that they might not manifest so early after I was potentially exposed. But I have been just pounding electrolytes and vitamin C all day in the hopes that that helps my body fend off anything that might be in there. I have been watching other Vlogmases and watching other people with their advents and like mix and match and look at their yarns is making me want to do the same thing. So I think I'm going to do what we talked about, which is going to be easier now because I talked to Josh and he was like, well, we should just get Indian food if you don't feel like cooking. So he's going to stop and get the Indian food that I wanted, and I'm not going to cook again today, which seems so bad, but whatever. I don't need to feel guilt about everything. Anyway, I'm going to go do a little stash diving just for fun and pull out some yarns that might maybe fill in my advent and make a nice sweet shop blanket. Please continue to ignore the mess. My Yarnaceous yarns are all up here. Let's just... Some of these three are very, like, bright. Like, right off the bat, this one's not gonna fit. Too many cool tones here, although this is like my favorite colorway ever. There are cool tones here, but some of these mauves might fit in nicely. I don't know. I think for sure these three would look lovely. You can't see that. I think the others are just too chromatic. I don't know. There's like a little bit of blue in some of these. Would that tie it in well enough? You know, I've been talking for a while about making a special blanket with all of these paleo botany yarns that have been accumulating. And I think this just might be the way to do it. Obviously, I would have to get some more of like a neutral. I'm glad I did this. This is very inspiring. It's gonna drive me to finish the stuff I need to finish. Oh, I love it. Okay, it's been a minute since I've given you an update on either of the projects, so let's do that. I've had a very quiet day, and the only thing I've worked on all day long is the Cambridge jacket. I had a look at my advent calendars this morning after I unwrapped them, and I realized that there's only 5 days left. which is freaking me out. I mean, I've known how much time I have, but also I have to think about the fact that we're leaving on Saturday to be at my mom's house. So while I can absolutely try to get in some last minute knitting on something while we're there, probably the snowfall sweater scarf since I'm not going to block it. The reality is that I basically have 3 more days, and one of them is a work day where I can get stuff done. I've been working on the Cambridge sweater all day. I finished the other front panel, so I've got the back panel, the 2 front panels. I cast on for this sleeve this afternoon. It is mostly done. The sleeve, I'm not even done with the increases, but then it will ultimately be 18 inches, which is the root. My very scientific method of measurement before I start shaping the sleeve cap. This is the cruel way of sleeve knitting, where you start at the narrow part and you increase as you go. So it gets worse and longer and more tedious as you knit. It's not totally unrealistic to think if I'm home again tomorrow that I could finish the sleeve I started and then do most of the other sleeve. But then when am I doing all the rest of it? I have to work on Friday. I have to work all day on Friday, and it's going to be a long work day. And these sleeves, none of this has finishing. I have been sitting there knitting, thinking about how I want to look ahead in the pattern, but then I'm too scared to look ahead in the pattern because I'm like, there must be a ribbing band around the bottom and around the neck and the cuffs, and none of that is as you go. So you have to pick up and do all of this later. This is going to be too much. And I'm sad to think that I might not finish on time because I have a history of not finishing my husband's Christmas gift on time. I guess because I'm with him and this always happens, it's partially that I'm hiding it and always working on it in secret and giving myself the permission to not work on it for the time being because he's home. But also partially because I'm with him every day, and if I have to finish this up in the days after Christmas, so be it. He's already here. Everybody else lives elsewhere and is far away. But then I feel bad because it feels like I'm not prioritizing him, and every single Christmas I'm like, here's an empty promise. I'm going to do my best, but I also haven't done any of the finishing work on the temperature blanket. So I effectively have all day tomorrow and all day Saturday to do these things. And when I say all day Saturday, we're leaving Saturday evening at like 6 to 7 p.m. So I have all day tomorrow and a work day on Saturday to finish the temperature blanket, which might take extra work. We don't know. It has to be eased. It's not even. And the snowfall sweater scarf is just, okay, I'm spiraling. Let's talk about this hot water bottle cover that I cast on to make myself feel better. I have been working on this in the evenings when Josh is home because I can't work on his sweater. It's coming along well. I did test it out and put it on the water bottle to see how it fits. I like it. I don't think I'm going to have to do the full amount of repeats that it calls for because I think if I do one fewer, it will be tall enough to start the decreases, which is great. Ideally, I would make 2 identical of these for my mom and sister. But for now, I'm going to aim to finish this one and then shift my focus to finishing the snowfall sweater scarf as much as I can when Josh is here to see it. I don't know. Again, I'm going to start spiraling if I think about it too much. Right now, I need to start dinner. I'm actually cooking dinner today. We're not getting takeout. We're not getting takeout. I've already preheated the oven. I'm going to work on that. We've got some ingredients that we need to use. We have this weird vegan meat roast thing that I think looks creepily like meat, and I don't like the idea of using it, but apparently it was very expensive and my husband bought it because he's curious. I'm gonna make a roast for the first time in my life, but we have a bunch of fingerling potatoes that are basically gonna go bad, so I'm gonna make meat and potatoes for dinner. Who am I? And while those are in the oven, I actually want to block all of the accessories that I made people for Christmas because that also occurred to me today that if I don't start that blocking pretty soon, they are not going to be dry in time to wrap and bring on Saturday. Okay. You know, it's funny, I picked this up again after putting the Cambridge sweater away, and it's funny, after working on wool at virtually the same gauge all day long, how this instantly feels so squeaky because it's acrylic. Honestly, I think these were like acrylic mill ends that I picked up from the late AC Moore. I have a whole bunch of them and they're not exactly the same color. So I think they're either off dye lots or mill ends or something like that. But I chose it for this project because it's a small quantity, so you won't notice those differences. And also the hot water bottles I got are like this pale blue and like a lilac color. And I just thought some of these like colorful flecks in here would go really well with the water bottles. So I got those 3 beanies blocking. The one was so much dye right now, and it was so weird because it's like a cool gray color, but the dye water coming out was like blue. Those are blocking. I did manage to sneak in another half dozen rows on the Cambridge jacket while I was waiting for them to soak and the food to cook. But I, still have my spiraling anxiety about finishing all these projects, which it doesn't matter that I put so much effort into like scaling it back this year. I still overdid it, but I guess that's me. I'll work on this hot water bottle cover, hopefully finish this tonight, and then maybe if I do, I'll be able to switch over to the snowfall sweater scarf and not feel so anxious in the morning. I think today is day 2 of this video, so I won't sign off, but I will see you in the morning. So it's Josh's day off. Didn't factor that into my schedule. In fact, I totally forgot about it. Also, as of yesterday, Josh has symptoms. We both tested negative yesterday, but as far as I'm concerned, that's like meaningless. Those tests are not certain, and if you have symptoms, you shouldn't go expose your family to illness anyway, regardless of what illness it is. I'm just nervous about whether I will be able to go home and see my family this holiday at all. And I'm compartmentalizing, so let's do some advents and then probably finish the hot water bottle cover because it's like 95% done. And then I'll probably try to finish the snowfall sweater scarf today, which makes no sense because Josh might be the only person I see on Christmas. But now I can't work on his gift because he's home. But if he's sick, he's never not going to be home. We might just have to do some covert knitting. Hello.
Hello.
What? Yeah, I'm filming, bro. Are you interrupting, bro? 9 from my mom. We're doing my mom's calendar first today because they're more colorful today. It's a tiny box inside a box. Oh, that's actually really cute. I've never seen these. They're very tiny, tinted Burt's Bees. All right, here we're on day 21. Golden, neutral brown. I'm so looking forward to starting this blanket. Will it match my home? No, none of these colors match my home. But it'll match my heart. Wondering now if I'm even going to use this one because I'm not going to buy more of this. Maybe I'll go find something else instead. Or I can go dig through my stash and find a bunch of off-whites and then just kind of mix and match a bunch of different off-whites. Here are the dimensions of my blanket. It's absurd. The top is 9 inches wider than the bottom, and one side is 2 inches wider than the others, or longer than the other side. I knew this was going to happen. Let's talk about the issues that I already overcame that I didn't talk about the other day. So first of all, I ran out of the color I needed. It was the brindle color that I ordered most recently that I should have just ordered 2 balls of, but it genuinely didn't even occur to me that it was in the realm of possibility that the ball I was ordering wouldn't be enough. I don't know why. I never did the math in depth to like calculate how much each row was, because if I had done that, it would have been very easy to figure it out, but I don't know. I just kind of kept winging it the whole time, which turned out to be a really bad plan. So anyway, this is the brindle color. And the last month, this is the month of August, was entirely brindle and camel. And then here's the pearl bump row for the end of August and beginning of September. And this should be the first 3 days of September in Tunisian full stitch, and then 5 rows of Tunisian honeycomb stitch for their anniversary. All of this should be in the brindle color. However, I could tell when I was about here that I was gonna run out of brindle and there was no chance. So once I switched in, I guess this month, August, was Tunisian simple stitch, which the return pass shows through. It's part of the feature of the stitch. You can see the return pass. So I thought once I switch into Tunisian full stitch, which the return pass does not show, I will switch and start doing the return pass in a different color to preserve yarn, which I think was a good decision. It definitely stretched out the yarn I had. So I was able to do the forward pass of the first 3 days of that full stitch in the correct color. And from the right side, all you can see is the correct color. And then I decided to just keep doing the forward pass of the honeycomb stitch in the correct color and do the return pass in the other color. And I decided to go with the darker red rather than the camel because I thought there's less contrast and it'll be less obvious that it's 2 different colors than it would be if I had done the camel as the return pass. And I also kind of just looked at the weather reports and realized that, well, you know, the rest of the blanket has been 1 row per day. This is meant to be 5 rows that represent 1 day, but since I don't have the color, I looked at the future days, and the 3 or 4 days following their anniversary would have all been this red color anyway. So that was my compromise, was just to do all the return passes in that. I don't think it's super obvious. I mean, it's not what it's supposed to be, but I think it looks fine enough. If you look very closely at the brindle color on its own, there are a lot of flecks of that red, and there's a lot of overlap between the 2 colors. I think it looks fine. It's annoying to me that the whole thing conceptually fell apart on the end of the blanket, but it is what it is. And then you can see around here, I actually properly ran out on the last row. So I did manage to do like 4.5 of these honeycomb rows. Excuse me, I did 3.5 of the honeycomb rows with the brindle color. And then I ran out and I just did the last 1.5 rows entirely with the red color. I think it's called Autumn Heather. I think it looks fine. And part of it is that the edges are going to be sewn anyway, so you won't even see that this entire edge is red. My hope was that I can basically fix all of my mistakes with sewing that edge on, which turns out is going to be way more valuable than I thought because the measurements are so wrong. I don't know if my tension just changed drastically or if I dropped stitches somewhere in the first couple months, but that 9-inch discrepancy is huge. And I'm going to have to try to like stretch the bottom a little to compensate for it, but also ease in the top. And part of it, it's very drastic on the edges. So like part of it is if, you know, the linen border is coming up straight along the sides, I can just kind of eat up another inch of it or so on the corner to try to make it visually look the right measurements. This was a very hard day. I had a mental breakdown in the middle of this blanket sewing. Again, it comes down to my inexperience with sewing. I thought I could fix the issue with my crochet by sewing over it, and it didn't work. The binding I chose wasn't quite wide enough for what I needed. I think no matter what I did, I would have had to cut those really wonky bits on the really uneven parts of the blanket. I don't even know how they got there. I'm a better crocheter than that. It really bothers me that it came out so uneven. I sewed the binding all the way around the edge and reinforced the bits that I knew I would have to cut, and then I cut those. And then when I tried to use the binding, I realized it was way too narrow and it was making more like really stiff piping on the edges that really didn't look good, which really upset me. After a bit of a meltdown, I decided that the only thing to do other than to go out and buy material and make my own bias binding from scratch that's super wide, which I've never done before, which would probably be rash, was to just reinforce all the way around the edges and then trim the seam allowance. It's not even seam allowance, just trim the extra fabric and yarn all the way around the entire blanket. So 100% of the crochet edges have been removed from the blanket, and it's now just sewn into place with 3 layers of seam. I don't like it. It doesn't seem stable, and maybe it is, but there's so much room for it to go wrong now, and I'm gifting it to people that are not knitters, that are not necessarily able to take care of it. I don't know. And it also just looks wonky. Even after all is said and done, I definitely diminished that discrepancy, but it's still 3 inches wider at the top than it is at the bottom. I love the blanket. I love the fabric itself and the way that the colors and the different stitch textures came out. I'm just very unhappy with the edges. They're better than they were when they were wonky crochet edges, but at least I knew they weren't going to come unraveled when they were wonky crochet edges. And now I'm not so confident. You can see best how uneven it is if you try to like fold it in half like a regular blanket. This side I've got the corners lined up in my hands. This side there's that much extra material. Whatever. I can disguise it when I'm gifting it. I can kind of fold it or roll it in a way that doesn't show that, but ultimately they're going to use it. It's just kind of obvious, and I'm just upset that I put this amount of time and effort and money into this gift and it's not perfect. I mean, like, I don't expect it to be perfect, but like I thought it would be giftable. I've created nicer, more polished, clean looking finished objects that are better than this, and it just bothers me after all the effort that I've put into this that this isn't one of those. Sorry I'm such a buzzkill. I know I started off this series like so cozy and happy and Christmassy, and now it's like this is the reality of Christmas, isn't it? Well, it'll get cozy again. It'll be fine. Well, I guess for the rest of the night I'm probably gonna build my Legos to make myself feel better and probably work on the snowfall sweater scarf if I work on anything. Working from home this morning because I thought it would be a great idea, since I missed so many days recently, unexpectedly, to sign in early this morning and kind of try to go through and sort my emails and sort my tasks before I even get into the office this morning. So I got up extra early and started to try to do that, and my work laptop reset itself. It's just like nothing wants to go right this week. All my accounts were signed out, all of my settings were gone, all of my default apps were removed, my shortcuts are missing, everything's gone. I did manage to sign into my email like in the web browser, but I can't do anything else. I can't access my files. Ooh, this one's super pretty. It's like a mix of like the dusty mauve and the very pretty pink. All right, day 10 from my mom. Some buttons, everything she made. Oh, that's so cute. They're strawberries. Oh, they were all attached to this, but they fell off. Let me reattach them so you can see how she set them off. I know she has one of those button press machines, so she absolutely made these. They're so cute. You know I love strawberries. So I'm at a point where I can't do any more work until I bring my computer back to IT. But I'm going to drive Josh to work this morning so I have use of the car, because I think I need to pick up my Nitty Fix from Nitty Gritty, and their hours are short today and I can't wait until Josh gets out of work. I have plenty of stuff to show you today. I feel like this is a good turnaround from Sad Girl Week. We're back. It's 3:30-ish. I got all my work done today. I feel really good. It's so easy to get work done the day before a holiday weekend because like half of the office isn't there and like nobody's calling with new stuff. So I just got to take care of the stuff that I already had, and I feel so much better about missing the last week, and I feel prepared to miss the next week. Everything's good now. So I went to Nitty Gritty after work and I picked up my Nitty Fix. Woo! But I'm not going to open it now because I only have about 2 hours until I have to go pick up Josh from work, which is 2 hours that I can be knitting on the Cambridge jacket. I actually looked at the pattern last night for the Cambridge jacket, and while I do have to pick up and knit a pretty long collar, everything else is just crocheted, barely crocheted, like just a little tiny crochet edge to keep the stockinette from curling up. I was kind of dreading having to pick up and knit ribbing on like every surface of this sweater, and that's not the case, which has kind of given me new hope, because I think between the 2 hours tonight and most of the day tomorrow, dare I say it's feasible to finish before Christmas? I don't know, but I'm gonna try. And in other news, at Nitty Gritty, I bought yarn to make my sweet shop blanket. I'm so excited to cast this on after Christmas Day when I have some time to myself. This is not enough. This is 5 skeins of Ultra DK from Barocco, but it's enough to definitely get started. I need probably 2 more skeins to finish, but this is everything she had in stock, and I'll just go back in January and buy more after she's restocked. Anyway, I'm gonna knit on my Cambridge jacket, watch a couple videos right now, and get everything I can done while Josh is still at work, and then I will probably end up finishing the snowfall sweater scarf tonight when he comes home, because actually I started the ribbing last night, and in the car this morning I got pretty far on it. It goes quick at this gauge, so I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like I might actually finish my Christmas gifts. Okay, lots of progress. I finished the increases on the sleeve, and I don't even have to lengthen it anymore. So I already started the decreases, or the sleeve shaping, I guess. Got a little bit done, but I do have to go get Josh now, so I'm going to wash the dye off my hands and let the dogs out, and then drive up to get him. And then when he's driving and we're running errands on the way back, because somebody didn't do any of his Christmas shopping yet, and told me this morning that he needs to make all of these stops on December 22nd to pick up all of his Christmas gifts on the way home. I can work on the snowfall sweater scarf while he's driving around to all that stuff. Let's go. Okay, we got back from errands. It's 8:30. We ended up having to go to way more stores than we thought we would. It's fine. I got a bunch of ribbing done in the car. And we should be done now. The dining room is just increasingly messy. The closer we get to Christmas, the more stuff accumulates in here. Anyway, my nitty fix. Ooh, another red envelope. They do these sales. It's all wrapped up like presents. It's so cute. Right. This is actually a project bag. And I love the print. And there's even a little stitch marker that can be used as a zipper pull or a stitch marker. There's so much stuff in here. Okay. Oh my gosh. Tags. Chocolate spoon. So cute. Little lamb made out of yarn balls. Oh, I love that. Gift tags. Ooh, a whole rainbow of stitch markers. I love these. I've never seen them in this format. This is great. They're like post-it note highlighter sticky, but you can relocate them. So you can like highlight the line of your pattern that you're on and then keep moving the sticky note as you move down the pattern. These are so useful. Warm vanilla. Ooh, lip balm. Hand cream. Seasonal lollipop. Oh, there's also some chocolates. The pattern that's included. Mosaic dot scarf. So usually whatever yarn is in here you can use to make the pattern that she included. Oh, and then there's also a sock pattern. Ooh. Look at that beauty. It's very fine. 458 yards to 100 grams. So this is like a light fingering. Dude, these are so pretty. Okay, there's 2 balls each of this super floof. Oh my goodness. I love this color combination too. So this is alpaca. This is what the yarn is. This is probably my favorite Knitty Fix. There's just so many little goodies. Okay, well, I am going to be done for this video, I think, which is now 4 days long. But I'm glad that we're ending on a higher note because I know that there was a lot of sad moments in this one. And I'm glad that I had such a good day today. I felt very productive at work and we did so much after work and I did get a lot of knitting done. And it's nice to have this little treat at the end of the day. So thank you all so much for your kind words about my grandmother. I have been reading all of the comments and they're so sweet and so relatable, and I feel very cared for on this channel. So thank you again for always tuning in and commenting and supporting, and I can't wait to see you in the next installment. Good night.